Hello and welcome. I hope everybody had a great week last week. I missed you guys last week. Just in case, for those of you watching who don't know me yet, my name is Evelyn Knight. I am the founder and CEO of Childcare Business Professionals, which is a company that helps childcare owners and directors find success and really achieve high quality standards. I help you just learn how to run a business. Most of us in this field are not business people. We are moms, we were teachers, but we don't know anything about business. So I see so many centers that just aren't making it because they don't know how to run a successful company. So that's what I do. I help people learn how to run a successful childcare center. I'm also a childcare center owner, which is what sets me apart from all the other coaches and consultants out there. I have my own center. I'm in the trenches. I have opened centers. I've built them from the ground up. I've been an in-home provider. So I've got a lot of experience, and I'm still currently in the field like you guys. So I know what it's like to own a center during COVID. I know what it's like to manage a team. I'm not coaching people based on a lack of experience. I've been there and done that. I know what's going on. I'm also the host of the Childcare Business Coach podcast, which should be coming out with a new episode this week. So welcome everybody. Let me know when you come on. Give StreamYard permission to post your comments so I can see who is commenting. With StreamYard, I'm on my YouTube and multiple different platforms. So I can't always see who's commenting, but I can see your comments. So I hope everybody had a wonderful week. I'm sorry I was out last week. I just had some medical issues going on. And because of those medical issues, I'm going to have to kind of keep it brief today also. But today I wanted to talk to you guys about hiring and bringing new people on board. So I'm going to really just briefly skim over something that I have. I actually have an entire presentation and series for my clients that work with me. I have several recorded videos and different resources on recruiting versus hiring. And right now, during this time of COVID, it is really hard for us to recruit, and it's hard for us to retain when the unemployment is just so high right now. What they're paying for people on unemployment, it's ridiculously high. It really doesn't take a lot for somebody to get unemployment. It's very easy, even if they have jobs available to them. So we are dealing with an environment right now that is making it extremely hard for us to retain and to hire employees. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what we do at my childcare center. What we started doing a couple of years ago that works really nicely is we started recruiting instead of posting for jobs and hiring. We have not posted a job opening in years. Literally, it's been years since I've actually posted a job opening at my childcare center. So when you guys, I see the posts all the time. Where do you guys post to hire? Where do you do this and that? I haven't had to do it for years. So what we do, and again, this is going to be a very brief explanation. My clients that I work with that are a part of my membership, I have like a week-long series to train on how to do this. I have trainings on before you hire, how you recruit, to once they're hired, like the interview process, once they're onboarded, how does that go, right? Which altogether, it's about a 7-month-long process, what I teach my clients on properly hiring, doing the interview, and then onboarding. It's not something that can happen overnight. And in our industry, I see so often where people do these really simple interviews. You ask the basic questions, and then you hire, bring them on, throw them in the classroom, and that's it. They're just, basically in the classroom, they're expected to figure it out. If that's what you're doing, it's no wonder you're having a hard time hiring and retaining employees, because it doesn't work. So what I do and what we changed to was a model of recruiting. And what I train on now is to really pay attention and look at the people around you in your community and really just be observant. The example I like to give, there's two different places that have been really rewarding for us. first, it's the church, right? When you go to church, you're going to see, and whatever, any kind of organization where you consistently see people. So I know many of you may not go to church, and that's fine, but think of like, where do you consistently see people, right? And where do you see them performing really good customer service? I like observing like preschool teachers, Sunday school teachers at churches. And when you see them, how they interact with the other families, how they interact with the children, how they show up every day, how do they present themselves? Are the children excited to see them every day? Do the children dread going to see them every day? And then what we do when we find that person. So if you've watched my other videos or listened to my podcast, there's two things I look for. I myself, I have 3 degrees. I went to college for 14 years, and I kind of become disenchanted with that whole world. And I realize now that there's a lot more important out there to look for than somebody's typical resume. Okay. I no longer look for experience, and I no longer look for education. I can give anybody experience, and I can give them the education. Through my center, we do help pay for my girls to go through college. What I cannot give somebody is their character. I cannot change who they are to the core. I also cannot change their values. So those are the two things I'm really, really looking for when I hire. I don't care if somebody's been in the field for 20 years anymore. I don't care if they've been in the field for 2 years. A lot of times, if they've been in the field for 20 years, they're no good anyway. They're burnt out. They have bad habits that are very hard to undo. They may not fit with my philosophy, right? So I would much rather find someone off the street who has zero education, zero experience, help them get that education, help them gain that experience, than I would somebody who has a bachelor's degree, 20 years experience. I have found that a lot of my girls who come straight out of high school are much better teachers, much more moldable, and just better employees all around than some of my 20-year staff that I've hired in the past that have degrees. And not to say that you're not going to find, I'm not saying, because there are some stellar staff members out there who have degrees. I do have some who've got, associates, masters, bachelors that are stellar, but I no longer look for that stuff on a resume, because I've learned the hard way. When I'm basically looking at a piece of paper, what this person wrote down, it really doesn't tell me what kind of employee they're going to be. And it doesn't tell me if I'm going to be able to retain these people. So I'm at a point in my life where, I don't know, I've been there, done that, and I just don't believe so much anymore in that higher education system like I used to. I mean, I do, in the fact that I put my teachers through college when they hire me, or I get them their CDA, which, you guys, I have to tell you, you get better performance out of a CDA'd staff member, somebody who keeps up with their CDA, who has a current CDA, than I do with somebody who has a bachelor's degree. And when you think about it, a lot of the bachelor's degree might be outdated, right? You might get somebody who got their bachelor's degree. For me, oh my gosh, my first degree was in like 1994 or something. At this point, what I learned back then is totally outdated. And if I'm not staying update and current, then everything that I'm doing in the classroom we know now it isn't best practices, right? The degree I earned back in the 90s are not best practices. We used to do cookie cutter art, right? We used to do artwork where we showed the children, okay, this is what you're making. And then we gave them all the materials and they had to try and mimic what I made. That's not art. That is not how children learn. There's a difference between crafts and art. That's just a craft, and the children aren't learning anything from that. It is result driven instead of process driven, right? But back when I got my first degree, they didn't teach you that stuff. That's why CDAs tend to be so much more powerful, because the teachers with CDAs have to go back and keep renewing it, and they're staying current in their education. And yes, I know that many of our states have so many hours, like here in Nevada, we have 24 hours we have to do of ongoing training. But most of the time, to be honest, we can log on and spit out a class that says it's 3 hours in an hour, and we don't get much out of it, right? That's also why I do a lot of in-house training, mandatory training within my center, and I don't rely on those kind of training courses. But so again, when I'm looking for people, I don't care so much about their resume anymore. I am looking at their character. Who are these people? How do they treat people around when they're out and about in public? How are they treating people? How do they talk to the children? Are they consistent? Are they putting on just a face? Because when you think about it, when you do a job interview for somebody, they're just putting on a mask. That is not who they really are. They are putting their best foot forward, and they are telling you what you want to hear. I do have a good interview process, that being said, and I still interview the people that I recruit, right? But with my background in neurological psychology, I've actually formatted my questions so that I can get deeper into the psychology of the person, because I'm trying to see their true character. So I don't ask them the typical questions you would think. I ask them some pretty complicated, complex questions. And I'll give you guys an example, and this is something I do provide for my clients, and I have a whole training on how to interview for my clients. So one of the questions I ask is, tell me about your last supervisor. What did they do well, and how do you think they could have done better? What would you have done if you were them? That's going to tell you a lot about a person, right? A lot of times they're going to come out and say, oh, let me tell you about that person. She was horrible. She expected this out of me and that out of me. And if I were her, I would have done this, and I would have changed this, and I would have done this and this and this and this. If I have somebody who comes at me and tells me how horrible their last manager was or supervisor, and then they tell me all the things they would have changed about that person, I know I have a gossip problem on my hand. I know I have somebody who is not going to want to listen and follow somebody else's lead. This is somebody who is going to be insubordinate and very hard to manage, right? So there's little things like that I do in my interview process where I really just try and get to the bottom of who is this person for real, right? So I actually have a 3-step interview process. I'll just tell you guys really fast. The next step of my interview process is I do ask the teachers to spend 2 hours at my center. And I tell them I just need them to go in and observe. I don't need you to interact with anybody. I just need you to be a fly in the wall in the classroom and observe, because I want them to see the reality of what it is really like to be in an ECE classroom. But I am looking for certain things, and I'm not going to say what I'm looking for, because I don't want potential people that I'm trying to recruit to be able to get past that part if they know what I'm looking for. If you're one of my clients, you guys, in our membership group, there is a training on this. I do go into detail on what you want to look for during that observation. And we do have it is actually very organized. So for my clients who are watching this today, that is all provided for you. There is a full training on what to look for during that 2-hour observation. So the third phase of my interview process, which is the most powerful phase probably, is we allow our teachers to interview the new hire. And what we do is I usually take the teachers that person will be working with, or a couple more teachers, and I try to get as many as I can. I mean, there's been interviews where I've had 4 teachers in the room. My director and I, we sit back, we don't say a word, and we let them conduct the interviews. They get to ask them whatever questions they want. And that works so well because our teachers are the ones who are in the trenches. They know what they need. They know the problems they had with the last person they worked with. So they're going to ask them those important questions that will really tell us, is this person up for the job? Right? And also you're also seeing what kind of rapport can they have with your teachers. That's why it's really good. So like, for example, let's say you're hiring for your 3-year-old classroom, right? You want to take somehow at least one of your 3-year-old teachers, have them in their ear interview, because now you're going to see, how are they getting along? Do their personalities clash? Are they not going to be able to work together? Are they receptive to each other? Do they just need to click, right? There's so much. And the reason that third step is so incredibly powerful is because it's really an out of the box. Your teachers don't know how to interview. So they're going to be raw and they're going to be honest. And so that makes it really very powerful. One of my favorite ways to interview, my favorite phase of the interview process in my 3-step. So again, just to recap, my first step is just the basic interview, but the questions I ask are not basic at all. I've definitely constructed an interview that is based on the psychology so I can really get into a person's head and see what is this person's true character. Who are they really? So the second phase is going to be a classroom observation of 2 hours, where they just, we ask them just to be a fly on the wall and observe for 2 hours. That is beneficial for both parties. They may, and I have had several people observe who have they don't know what our field is like. They think they're just going to come in and play with children all day. And I know if you've interviewed, you've gotten that person who just thinks like, oh, I'm so excited. I get to just play with the kids all day today. So that's the second phase, right? And you're going to really get reality checks there. They are going to get a reality check, and you will too. The third phase is going to be where your teachers interview the staff member. That is phase 3 of my interview process. And again, if you're one of my members, I have all of this very detailed. I explain it very thoroughly. I think each phase has its own separate training module. And then I do also have all the PDF resources that go along with it, the questions, what to look for, the forms to fill out for you guys that are my clients. But back to before the interview even happens, which is most important, finding those golden nuggets out on the street, right? Think of the places that you go routinely and the people you interact routinely. You don't know where they are in life. So when you start planting the seeds in their head that, hey, I'm hiring, you would be a great fit for my team. Gosh, I would love to have you on my team, right? Sometimes it'll take a little while before you'll actually get them in, but start planting those seeds, even when you're not hiring. You don't want to wait until the necessity is there and then you're scrambling, right? You want to know, what characteristics are you looking for? What are your center's values? If you don't know your center's values, you don't know what you're hiring for. You aren't hiring based on aligning to your childcare center. So you need to know, and again, my members, I have a whole training for you guys on that, on how to find your values, how to make sure they're concrete, how to make sure they're very clear in your own mind, so that when you are hiring, you'll easily be able to find those people and see them out in the world. You never know, you guys, you might be going to Subway to buy a sandwich and you see the same girl for a year making your sandwich, and she's got excellent communication skills. Every time a child is around, she's just open with them, playing with them. The children seem to gravitate towards her. And you see like, wow, this girl's got amazing customer service. The children love her. Maybe she'd be a good candidate. You just never know where you're going to find those diamonds, right? And but then they may not be diamonds. That's why you still have to go through with the whole interview process. So what I want to challenge you guys on is come from a place of recruiting instead of hiring. On your day-to-day life, you go to the gym. Your gym might have childcare. Observe the person working at the gym. Observe people everywhere. Everywhere you go, clubs you belong to, organizations, volunteer work you might do. Look at those people who just seem incredible, that you get along with them. They seem to be aligned with your values. Those are the people you want to bring in. Those are the people you want to hire. And a lot of times, I know a lot of you are scared, say, oh, but we don't pay enough. You guys, according to studies, a person's salary does not dictate the reason they take a job. People are looking to make a difference in the world. And as I say that, I know it is still difficult. I know it isn't, money is very important, but don't let that stop you. If you have it in your mind that you can't hire because you can't afford the quality people, then that is what you're going to get, because that is what is in your head, right? But if you tell yourself, no, they're out there, they're going to come to me, I just need to go find them, right? You will find them. I promise. We've done it. I haven't, like I said, we haven't posted a job posting in years. It has been years since I've actually had to go on Indeed or ZipRecruiter or anything and actually solicit people to come and apply for a job. We go out and find our people now. We don't do it that way anymore. The other area to really look at, and one of my favorite ways to recruit, is look for stay-at-home moms. I was a stay-at-home mom once upon a time. I knew what it was like. I felt like I had lost my identity. Everywhere I went, I was either Bronson's mom or Ron's wife, but nobody knew my own name. I didn't have a name. Everywhere I went, people referred to me as, oh, hi, Bronson's mom, or, oh, you're Ron's wife, aren't you? But nobody knew who I was. And it really was hard for me. Ironically, during that time, I started selling Avon because I had to do something for me. I had to be me somewhere. I realized one day, I was like, gosh, nobody even knows who I am unless I go to a play group or church, and even at church, people just made assumptions about me. So you don't know what stay-at-home moms are feeling that way. And a lot of times when you offer them a job, they're so grateful because they still want to be with their children. We still have this immense drive to be with our babies, but we also want something for us. We want to have an identity. So those stay-at-home moms that we give those jobs to, we're giving them their identity back. We're giving them something bigger that money cannot buy, right? And I can tell you right now, those ladies turn out to be my best employees, my most loyal employees that tend to stick with me for years. If you've been watching my videos, you guys have heard me talk about my assistant director, Alana. She's been with me for 12 years now, and she was a stay-at-home mom. That's who she was. She was stay-at-home who just really wanted something for herself. So 12 years later, she works for me full-time, and she's my assistant director at my childcare center. And she was recruited. She did not come in and apply for a job. Actually, one of my teachers recruited her. It wasn't even me who recruited her. And that was actually even before I was out actively recruiting. But one of my teachers came to me and said, hey, I know this lady. She doesn't have a job. She's a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't really need to work. She would be amazing. It's like, sure, bring her in. Just let her apply for a job. She came in. We ended up hiring her. 12 years later, she's one of my all-time best employees I've ever had, hands down, right? So you don't know. You get your teachers involved in recruiting. Get the whole center involved. Like, hey, if you guys see people out there who would be a great fit for our team, tell them about us. Make business cards for your teachers and have them, and even an incentive program, give them a bonus if you're really struggling with hiring. But we've got to stop posting these jobs and then just doing basic interviews and throwing these people into the classroom and expecting them to work, because that doesn't work. That doesn't work. If you have a revolving door, that is why you have a revolving door, because you're just posting these jobs, you're getting whoever, they're telling you what you want to hear during the interview process, then you hire them and they turn into somebody completely different, right? And then next thing you know, you're throwing them into the classroom, they're overwhelmed, 6 months to a year later, they're quitting on you. I'm sure many of you, I just summarized your experience that you're going through over and over and over again. And there's a reason you're going through that over and over and over again, because of how you're, first of all, hiring, secondly, interviewing, and third, how are you onboarding? Those are huge if you want to retain employees for the long haul. So I hope that has helped you guys today, and I've given you something useful to really take back during this time of struggle. I'm seeing so many posts on how hard it is right now. And believe me, I know it is hard on us too. So when you've got the staff, retention is just key, and it is golden, right? And again, for my members, we have recorded trainings and materials on each one of those things specifically that I just spoke about. I do have a training on every single individual one. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, beautiful day, a great week, and I will be here again next week. Bye, guys.